Hi, Mike. Hi, Daria. Hi, Katerina. Well, I guess our class is shrunk. Oh, okay. Let's, Mike, if you'll offer the mandala for us, please.
Sashi Puki Jukshin Metokchon Rirabling Shin Yende Genpadi Sange Shindu Mikte Wargi Jokun Namdak Shingla Druparsha Idam Guru Ratnamandalakam Niryatayami.
I go for refuge to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha until I achieve enlightenment. By the power of the goodness that I do in giving and the rest, may I reach Buddhahood for the sake of every living being. I go for refuge to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha until I achieve enlightenment. By the power of the goodness that I do in giving and the rest, may I reach Buddhahood for the sake of every living being. I go for refuge to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha until I achieve enlightenment. By the power of the goodness that I do in giving and the rest, may I reach Buddhahood for the sake of every living being. Okay. Well, not many people have shown up today. Oh well. Okay, let's start with rejoicing. Let's see who's up first. Let's start with Olga.
Today I rejoice on sharing my breakfast with a friend that came to home. Thank you.
What did you have for breakfast?
Like kind of sunflower hot chocolate
Flour hot chocolate.
and vegan taquitos.
How do you make sunflower hot chocolate?
I made first the sunflower's milk and then I put it cocoa. I can send you the recipe if you want.
Please do. That's very sunflower. I never heard of sunflower milk. I'd like to try that.
It's delicious and more cheaper than almond, so I love it. Yeah.
Well, I where I went and got my PhD, they had a dairy department, and you could get a PhD in ice cream. And they made a sunflower ice cream that had a unique yellow color and was really tasty. But okay, Svetlana, what do you have to rejoice in?
Hello, Venerable Sumati. I'd like to rejoice that yesterday I did meditation practice and with 6 preliminaries with all steps which we discussed. Yeah, and today, even though I woke up quite late, but I put myself on the meditation cushion and did some quick Tonglen. So I decided it will plant seeds for my further regular meditation. So I'd
Very
like to
good.
rejoice in my efforts.
Very good. That's when I don't feel like meditating, that's when you really should meditate. So I had somewhat of the same problem this morning. Okay, Katerina, what do you have to rejoice in?
Good evening. I rejoice that sometimes I have needs to remember.
I can't hear you.
Sorry.
Can anybody else hear or I can't hear? Well, let's go to Mike. We'll come back to Katerina. Okay, Mike.
Hey, I rejoice in oh, here's one. I got I ordered a tool for my business. It was like this heated plate, like a hot plate. And it was delivered yesterday from Amazon, and I opened the box and there was two of them in there. And I only ordered one. They came like packaged together, like they were wrapped in plastic, and I guess whoever at the distribution place just threw two of them up in a box instead of one. And I know I'm a Buddhist because I'm sitting here looking at this thing and I'm like, man, I could sure use this extra one for personal use, or I could give it to someone in need, or I could sell it on eBay. Um, and then obviously I know that I can't do that. But it was interesting to watch my mind go back and forth with it and try to rationalize, um, oh, Amazon is a corrupt corporation and they deserve it, and all that kind of stuff. But I realized that I need to call them and say that you gave me an extra thing, and how do I return it? And I did that, and so I have yet to drop it off, but I'm going to do that today.
Very good. I think that's really very nicely described. You find your mind bouncing around, rationalizing. It's okay if I do it. It's their fault. They sent it. But yeah, if you contact them and they say keep it, then all the better. But I've had that problem before, and that's a really a good description, because that's what you do more often than not. Of course, when you really get good at it, you'll open the box and go, oops, and immediately get ready to send it back. But very good. That's setting the seeds to have what you want when you need it and have it available. So very good. Okay, Daria.
Good morning or good evening. First, I rejoice I can see people who can rejoice, who are very happy. And second, yesterday I gone with my mother to store magazine, and we bought a potatoes, and the bag fell over, and I used to stay very angry, and sometimes I said bad my mother. And yesterday, no, I think, oh, mom, okay, and it's a woman who bought us this potato. She's, oh, thank you, girls, you are very kind. I am not angry. It's amazing.
Very good.
Yeah.
Very good. It feels good to not respond the way you used to. Excellent. Okay. Cornelia.
Thank you, Venerable Sumati. So I rejoice that I was today extra careful driving to work to protect others' life. So I have planted seeds for mindfulness and protecting life.
Good. Excellent. Okay, let's try Katerina again.
Sorry, can you hear me?
There you go. Very good.
Yeah. I rejoice that sometimes I remember about seeds, and when it was that happened, I remember that my seeds relax, don't reaction, and how about my microphone, or it was different? I rejoice when I not just make it was good or thinking good, when I make that with wisdom, when I remember about emptiness and karma.
Good. Well, that's the whole point of taking these courses, is to make that be what happens all the time. So good. Who's left here? Maria? Maria, do you have anything to rejoice? I guess not. Okay. So how about me? What do I have to rejoice in? Well, I don't know. Oh, we're going to, several students have come down from Colorado. We're going to go out to a Somali restaurant, which the last time we went there, it's wonderful food. And they gave us this big platter of food and no utensils. And I asked the proprietor for a fork and knife and spoon, and he goes, "Nope, you got to eat it the way we eat it." And so we had to use our fingers to eat the meal. It was, well, it's a little hard to take a lentil mixture and put it on a piece of bread, but it was very tasty, and it was fun to follow their customs. I'm not sure how that's rejoiceable, though. No, I'm trying to think of. Oh, I have to, I'm teaching the Lam Rim starting tomorrow, and that's quite a bit of work. And I just rejoice in the fact that I finally figured out a method for transcribing the teachings and being able to use them as notes. It's a lot of work, and I approached it joyfully. Well, this is what I need to rejoice about. I worked very hard on 2 classes and thought I had saved them, and I hadn't. So 4 hours worth of work was erased, and I had to start over. And instead of getting mad at myself for it, I looked at my computer and I said, well, it's only as smart as the person running it, and settled down and rewrote the notes. So I didn't even think about getting mad. So that's a pretty important rejoicing for me. I stopped the movement of the mind of getting angry, and I dedicated it toward not seeing angry people in my future. So, okay. Did you all get the handout that I sent? Yes? No? You didn't?
Only for translator, for translation.
Yeah, I sent Francisco was supposed to send you a page, couple of pages.
Okay, I will share it in the chat as well. I sent it only to translator. I will share
Okay.
with all
Yeah,
students.
please share. Yeah, please do so. We'll need to wait till you get it. Today's class is pretty short, but it's very important. Do you have the have you sent it, Svetlana?
Not yet, just a moment, yes. Mm.
Do I need to send it to you again?
No, I can share it in Telegram chat. So I sent it to English speaking Telegram chat now.
Okay. You have it? Yeah, okay. So today's class is going over the 9 stages of meditation. And this is where we actually start to look at what happens when we sit on our cushion and try to meditate. Now, this has been, for me, hard to articulate because we were talking about qualities of the mind, which is hard to describe. So we have fixation, clarity, and intensity. And I tried to come up with a different way of thinking about these 3. And my lovely wife and I had a nice conversation about it. And so I'm going to try this and see if it helps. So fixation is mental focus fully on the object. And like Geshe said, it's like holding a cup without ever dropping it. Or to me, a better description would be like watching a movie and never shifting attention to anything other than the movie. Clarity is a bright, alert state of mental focus on the object. It's like the quality of attention we would have if we were holding a cup half full of grape juice and you really don't want to spill it because you're walking over a white rug. So you're going to be carefully, you're going to be not only holding it, but you're going to be careful and really focused on holding it. And intensity is an even keener focus. That's because that'd be the situation where you have a cup full to the brim with grape juice and you're walking across this white rug and you know you can't spill any of it. So you're being extremely careful and extremely focused on what you're doing. So that helps me. I don't know if it helps anybody else, but that helps me try and figure out what's going on as I meditate. So we have 9 levels of progress. As you encounter the 5 problems and the 8 corrections, you work through 9 levels of progress in your meditation. So first, you're putting your mind on the object. So we will use the source of all my good in the next couple of classes to use as examples. You'll find you have very little ability to hold the object. You'll think your mind is worse than it was before you meditated because of this lack of focus, but you're just seeing the mind clearly for the first time. This is like watching a movie, but your interest is low, so the noises outside attract your attention. Or we check our phone for emails. Attention goes to the movie, but then off to something else, then back to the movie. So off the movie more than on. The second level is putting the mind on the object with continuity. You keep the mind on the object, but distraction still surges up and pulls you away. So this would be a case where our interest increases, so we stay focused on the movie for longer, but are still easily distracted to non-movie things. But we return more quickly to the movie, but you find you're still not thinking about it all the time. Number 3, placing the mind on the object and patching the gaps. Here you find out that you're spending more time thinking and watching the movie than worrying about movie things that are not the movie. So you're at the beginning, you're on your phone, the movie's coming on, you're kind of interested in it, but not all that interested. So you're looking at your phone a lot. Then you start looking at the movie more. And finally, in this stage, on stage 3, you're spending more time looking at the movie than you are on your phone. Then number 4, the mind is placed closely on the object. You no longer struggle to keep your mind on the movie. And you no longer look at your phone. So you're not distracted. Now you're interested enough to focus your full attention on the movie, or on your meditation object. And you don't find that you completely lose it. So now we have to fight of dullness and agitation, because we have the object in front of us, we're watching the movie, but the question is, are we really focused on the movie? So this might be a case where you start to find that you're watching the film, but you're not really interested in all the details. So you have dullness and you have agitation. Dullness would be where it gets, you're thinking about, you're watching the movie, but you're starting to drift a little bit toward not being all that interested in it anymore. It might be the part of the film that's boring. For me, it would be if I'm watching a musical and they're going through yet another dance routine. My mind is going to probably pull away from that and start thinking about other things. I don't lose the object, but I find that I'm not interested in it anymore. Agitation would be pulling myself away from watching the film, starting to think about other things. So I don't lose the object, but I'm watching it. But in the back of my mind, I'm thinking about what I'm going to do next and if the movie's ever going to end. So that's 5 and 6 and 7. It's the quality of the mind we're adjusting. So a practice might be to notice we're getting dull in the boring parts of the movie and make an effort to brighten the interest in the movie. So level 8. So levels 5, 6, and 7. If you've been watching your breath, you'll find you're counting your breath, and you begin counting and you're very focused on it and you're trying to breathe more slowly. Then you find after a little while that what number, you skipped a number, you may have stopped counting, you're thinking about lunch or breakfast. Then your mind goes back and you start counting again. So when you've got when you reach 8, this is one pointedness. At the beginning of the session, you sit down on your cushion, you do the preliminaries, you get your mind on the object, and you find that you're very focused. You don't scatter, you count. You find yourself having counted for the entire time, and the alarm goes off, and you find that you did 40 breaths in 5 minutes or 20 breaths. When you can do that, when you can sit down, get on your cushion, sit down, and immediately go to your breath and find yourself completely focused on that, then you've reached a point where you can take this ability and focus it on the object that's most important, emptiness. So in this instance, it would be perhaps a movie that's your favorite movie of all time. So for me, for watching a movie, an example would be, well, most of you never seen this film. There's a film called White Christmas, which is everybody watches in the United States every Christmas. And I've watched that movie for 20 years, and I'm tired of it. So I don't want to watch it anymore. So I ended up watching, the last time I watched it, I got a piece of paper and I wrote down all the continuity errors. Like they have a scene and someone takes a bite of a sandwich, and then a minute later they go back and the actor's taking another bite of the sandwich and it doesn't have the first bite taken out of it. Or they drink a glass of water or wine, and the cup is half full at the end of the scene, then they go back later and it's full again. So these are continuity mistakes. So that's where I'm looking for the detail. My mind is focused not only on the film, but a detail of the film. So these 9 levels, it takes a while. What you'll find is I think you'll find pretty quickly you can get to number 4. You can hold the object, but what you're going to find is he starts to drift. And that's where you have to be watchful. Your mind has to be watchful. And you have to say, I'm drifting away from counting my breath, or whatever your object is. I need to refocus my attention on it. And you bring your mind back. It's kind of like, well, how can I describe this? Background noise. Well, another example would be listening to music. I have favorite soundtrack music that I really enjoy. And when I hear a snippet of it, my mind immediately goes back and gets very involved in the emotion of where I heard that music to begin with and how much I like it and what I anticipate the music's going to sound like. I did that last night to a couple of soundtrack pieces I really like. So for me, it's not only listening to the music, that's fixation, but it's anticipating what's going to be coming in the music. That would be clarity. And then actually thinking about the various parts of the music, what's coming up next in the music would be the intensity. So you can just be thinking, you're just enjoying the music, or you can be thinking about the music in greater detail. So we're going to be working on trying to get to these 9 levels. It takes a while. For the most part, and this level in my meditation, I think I'm at level 4 some of the time. The breath is a tough subject object because it's kind of boring. There's no detail. But if you think about when you're watching your breath, think of the sensation, try and feel the sensation as it enters your nose, as it exits. That makes it a little more interesting. So I said this class was going to be short, and it was. The homework's very simple. The question is, how do you monitor this as you're doing your meditations? I would recommend, if you're really serious about getting your meditation going, I would recommend starting to keep a journal. And after the meditation, write down the sequence. Don't interrupt your meditation, right? But at the end of the meditation, write down just how interested you were, how, as Geshe puts it, how bright-eyed and bushy-tailed you were during it. It's not a matter of whether you liked the meditation or not. It's a matter of how focused you were on the object. And monitor that for a couple of weeks. And I think you'll find that you're improving. Don't be too hard on yourself. Meditation's a habit you need to get into if you're going to make progress on the path. So I guess that's pretty much what I have for today. The question of clarity and intensity and fixation, I don't think the English language has a way of really describing that. Sufficiently. I think the example, when you're watching a favorite film, well, for me, reading a book, there are several books that I read each year. I've read them each year for years, and I know what's happening in the book. Nothing new is going to happen, but I find, well, this would be a good example. You're reading a book for school or for work, an instruction manual for your computer, and you find you're reading along, have a sip of coffee or tea, reading along, and then you stop and you realize that you haven't been really thinking about the book for the last 3 or 4 pages. So that's where your fixation is gone, because you've been turning the pages and haven't been registering what you're reading. So fixation in that case would be your clarity would be gone, because you're not really focused on you've got your object, but you're not focused on it. So then you catch yourself, you go back and reread the pages, and now your intensity is better because you're actually trying to understand what the manual is saying. For me, the best way I can describe it, any of this, is focus. And that's not really a quality of the mind that I can describe easily. I think following with a journal, following your progress is probably the best way to monitor how you're doing. Next class, we'll be talking about an actual object other than your breath. And I think that'll make it more interesting. The homework asks you to memorize the next class, to memorize the source of all my good. That's a little difficult to do if you're doing 2 classes a week. So don't stress on that. I would try and get the first verse, maybe the second verse memorized. Yeah. Okay. Well, that's the levels of meditation, levels of progress. Perhaps not the clearest of presentations, but this subject is one I have difficulty teaching because I can't seem to get a grip on the wording to make it make sense. Any questions? It's really it's hard to describe the meditation issues because, like I said, I don't have a vocabulary that can describe it. I know when I'm counting my breath, I start out very strong, and then I slip into trying to count. For instance, you take an in breath and you say, I'm going to breathe for a count of 5 in and a count of 5 out. And then you have to also include the count of the breath itself. And I find myself trying to increase the number of counts, the length of my in breath and out breath, and lose the count of the actual breaths. And that's why we need to get to a better object, and that'll be the source of all my good. Okay, no more questions. I guess that's it for today. I'm sorry it's such a short class.
I'm sorry, I have questions.
Okay.
I have a karmic partner. She asked me, she every day meditation, and after meditation she can't sleep. She bad sleep, and she asked what she must do.
She can't sleep after she meditates?
Yeah.
Wow.
I don't know, but meditation is good. She can meditation 1 hour, so 40 minutes, 1 hour. She can after she can't sleep, and sometimes she is very worried and fried.
Wow. I've never heard of that problem.
And she stopped.
Well, let's think about that. After she's agitated, does she share anything why she's upset? Is she upset? Is her mind just racing? I don't. How does what keeps her awake? Did she
Mm.
describe that to you?
No, she said me she feel good or best.
Well, I guess a silly answer to that would be to meditate in the morning. Then she doesn't have to worry about going to sleep. That's an interesting question. I will take that up with my lovely wife and see if she has some advice. But I'd have to know more about what's keeping her awake.
Thank you.
Sorry I couldn't help more.
No, you helped me.
Well, that's very good, Cornelia. Actually, that's excellent. The reason she can't sleep is not because of her meditation. The reason she can't sleep is she's disturbed others. So Cornelia, I'm really impressed. That's very astute. What we tend to do is we tend to make correlations that, well, for instance, in this case, the correlation, it looks like meditation is keeping her awake, but it's not keeping her awake. The meditation is a good thing and can't result in a bad result. So she disturbed others in the past, and that's ripening now to disturb her, to stop her from sleeping. So the best thing she could do would go out of her way to make sure that she's not inconveniencing others, that she's respecting their needs, making things simple for them, easy for them, and then dedicate that toward her having the ability to not be disturbed and have the quietude she needs to sleep. Because this is an excellent example of, it's like a bank robber. A bank robber, robbing a bank isn't what gets the bank robber money. It looks like it is, but a bad deed can't result in a good result. That's not how karma works. First law of karma, good deed, good result, bad deed, bad result. So for a bank robber, the reason the bank robber gets the money is because he was generous in the past, and that's what's getting him the money. But what he's done in the present, robbing the bank, is going to result in the future with people stealing from him or her.
Yeah.
Very good, Cornelia. I'm impressed.
Mm.
So
And
I talk.
could I ask
Go
you?
ahead.
I'm so sorry. Can I change object of meditation? Change, yeah. Not breathe, it's sound.
What do you want to do with sound?
Listen. Because when I sit and tried meditation for breathe, yeah, I always do only 3. I don't know how excellent, and my mind go. It's something not dream, but it's interesting pictures, and I.
Yeah. So go back and focus on the sensation of the breath in your nose. Your nostrils, when you breathe, your nostrils expand and contract. Focus on on the sensation of it coming in and out of your nostrils.
Okay, thank you.
You could also, the breath, the reason I suggested breath is it's always with you. You never have to worry about remembering an object. You're always breathing. And it's, for me, it's a way to relax me to get into a decent meditation. It allows you to exclude the rest of the world and just think about your breath for a few minutes. Then you can slip into your actual object. If the breath is not functioning, if you can't keep focus on your breath, then try to develop the mental image of a teacher, a friend, a child, a parent, and try and detail that. Look at that and try and get the details of that image. That'd be another thing instead of the breath, if the breath isn't working for you. The breath was just a way to try and calm things. For me, I check my breath to begin with because it kind of calms me down and sets my mind up for the actual object of meditation. Kind of allows me to just pull myself to where I am in the house instead of worrying about other things. My mind gets focused on what I'm about to try and meditate on. So that's what I use the breath for. I also just have this desire to see if I can cut my breath down to 2 or 3 a minute. And that's just a goal I have. For some reason, that's something I think would be interesting to be able to do. Any other questions? Okay. Well, we'll see everybody on Thursday. And we're going to start discussing one of my favorite subjects of all time is the source of all my good, Lam Rim. It's a very short Lam Rim compared to what we're going to start talking about tomorrow. But it's the stages of the path condensed into 14 verses, and it's packed full of information. We do a weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday course on the source of all my good, and you learn a very detailed, visually detailed description to take you through the verses. I'd love to teach any of you that haven't done that. I would love to teach you that. It's the first thing. The second thing I memorized, and I have that wired into my brain now. It actually comes up often during the day. I'll find myself remembering a verse that's particularly germane to what's happening in front of me. We can talk about getting something like that organized. Maybe after we start it next week. It's just we meet Friday evening for one class, 3 classes on a Saturday and 2 classes on a Sunday. And it gives you a really beautiful meditation that takes about 45 minutes, which you think is a long time to be meditating, but I just love it. I think that's one of the best things, and I learned in my Buddhist studies is the source of all my good meditation. So I offer that if anybody wants to do that. I offer that as a possible weekend. I think you'd all enjoy it. Well, you'll see after the next couple of classes. If that's of interest to you, then we could set it up. Okay, let's dedicate what we've done. By the goodness of what we've just done, may all beings complete the collection of merit and wisdom, and thus gain the two ultimate bodies that merit and wisdom make. Take care. We'll see you on Thursday, and I think things will pick up now because I can describe what we're going to be doing now is more along the lines of something I'm comfortable teaching. So, okay. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.